Maybe the same movie, but you get something different out of the two movies. Complete different feelings. When I went to a movie that was non-conventional cinema, it was outside. It was an Almodovar movie. It was in London, and it was at the Open Door Space, and it was beautiful because what you have, it was these beautiful buildings was on the road behind you, and that changes completely. You know, you're engrossed. I was completely, totally engrossed in the movie.
There's loads of people who really appreciate places that are original, I think, and places that have like a bar, you know, inside the screen. Like there's a really good venue in Angel called the Screen of the Green.
Yeah.
It's part of a chain now, yeah, which isn't that great, but there's still really nice people working there, and the fact that you can have a bar inside the screen and they have gigs, you know, and comedy night. They used to have comedy nights. I don't know if they're still happening, but there's loads of people who, like, there's so many people who want to see, you know, Ghostbusters every now and then, or Alien, you know, old films like that, and don't even mind watching them on DVD. Like I went to see Blackula recently in this pub called the Maki Pub in Islington. It's just like a little pub, but they have screen nights, and it was pretty much packed. And people, like, there's really much interest in that, but it has to be promoted a lot, and that's the problem, because a lot of people don't really have time to do that. You know? So if you just promote it properly, especially using the internet and not really in papers, because most of people nowadays just use the internet for everything, you know. So it's just, if it's like a really well planned venue, I think it could work, but you know, you never know what's going to happen. Like, yeah, like I said, we're next to a massive cinema and we're doing really okay.
And so if you can catch a community of cinephiles, which you know, obviously there's hundreds of thousands or millions out there, and social media makes it easier to connect with them, then you can have a successful pop-up event or series of pop-up events, because you can tap into audiences and inform them what's happening.
I think our audience is very varied. We obviously, certain films we show has the age limitations, like Valdo Lugia's had 15 on it. But our audience match from anything and everything, you really get a good, nice mix. The way we start off, the way we communicate with our audience is through Facebook and social media, where we really build a relationship, build the conversation and the narrative into the pre-production of the whole event. And then it turns into this viral, in a way, word of mouth, and people spread the message across their networks, their friends, and when they tell about it, they get excited about it. And it kind of is interesting because the audience push the whole experience, and they choose how much involvement they want to have in the whole production. So it's interesting to see just how much, if you tell the audience to do something, how much they're going to take ownership of it, how much they're going to spread the message.
We did test run-throughs with audiences, you know, about a week before we actually started. That was so valuable, even though we weren't set up visually as we were wanting to be, just to kind of get people's ideas and thoughts.
It was a bit of a
I don't like this, or I like this.
Yeah, because at the time, you know, there were moments when we were thinking we were maybe not going to be able to pull this off on time to the standard that we want. But it was like quite a lot of reassurance after those test run-throughs, because actually we did really enjoy it a hell of a lot more than we sort of thought we were. So there's always a greater concept behind things that you do, and sometimes it's really necessary that the audience get that, and sometimes it's not so necessary. But I think for the immersive events that we do, I think the most kind of valuable thing is that it's going to just sound really crass and cheap, but like it's just to make people feel like an amazing sense of wonder and to feel magical.
People invest so much money in promoting big films that there isn't that much money to promote independent cinema. But I think there's more and more people. I think there's more and more people getting interested in film in venues that are not multiplexes.
So it's giving people who perhaps aren't quite ready enough to take on their own space the opportunity to try out what it's like to access an empty space.
Creativity outlets are resources and it is up to us to recognise this. Failing to do so may mean that the city becomes full of unrealised potential in the face of abandoned, disused spaces, and leaving many frustrated artists with fewer opportunities to showcase their work. The public would have fewer options for new and fresh experiences too.